Okay, now I think my recording is fine. Perfect. So we talked about potential flow theory, what are its benefits, and how it can be used, and in conjunction with the boundary layer theory. This is something which I discussed in the last class, and how using different flow elements you can make certain thing which is a little bit more close to reality. And once you would get that stagnation streamline shape, that can be replaced by any solid and would behave in the same way. And whatever you are seeing here, since it's a potential flow theory, so we are considering only incompressible and irrotational flow. Currently we are taking that area where viscous effects are present within our stagnation streamline, or we can say that once we are considering any solid and flow on top of it, then the boundary of that solid actually includes the boundary layer also. So these are the things which I discussed a little bit during our last class. And I said that up till now, before vortex flow, whatever flows I had considered and we discussed, they had zero circulation, and vortex flow was the first one where circulation was present. And the reason I wanted to include, such kind of flows where circulation are present, you would see now that circulation actually is something which gives you lift. Few lectures back we talked about non-lifting flow over a cylinder, and that was a uniform flow added with a doublet, and we got a non-lifting flow over a cylinder. Today we are going to talk about lifting flow over a cylinder. When I'm saying lifting flow over a cylinder, it means that I have a cylinder which in 2D would look like a circle, and there is flow going on top of it, and this cylinder would feel some kind of force, okay, in the direction perpendicular to uniform flow. So this is something which we are going to do today. To do that, what we are going to do is that we would take non-lifting flow, which you are seeing here. We have taken non-lifting flow over a cylinder. We already know its stream function. We add on top of it vortex of a strength equal to the circulation of that vortex flow. We also know about the stream function of it, and then we would get something like this lifting flow over a circular cylinder. Now again, non-lifting flow over a cylinder, this I know about. Vortex of a strength capital lambda or gamma, I know about it. Actually gamma I know about it. The figure which you are seeing on the rightmost side, lifting flow over cylinder, at this stage I don't know about it, because I don't know what my stream function is. I have not yet found my stagnation points. I have not yet drawn my stagnation streamline. So this is something which I don't know at this stage. At this stage, when I am starting with you, I don't know about it. The only thing which I know are the two stream functions. So let us see, if I know these two stream functions and I know that I can add them to get my resultant stream function. So let us see what we would get if I add them. Now I would do a little bit of a mathematical trickery to take care of this constant which is coming in the stream function of vortex flow. I would say that since the constant is arbitrary, meaning by it can be anything, so why not let it be minus lambda by 2 pi log r. So I can say that my stream function for vortex flow is circulation divided by 2 pi natural log small r by capital R. This is something, again, uh, how come I took this constant to be equal to this? The reason is that I need to add these two stream functions, and I found out that this would be an easier way. And this is how I can add both of them. So if I do that, if I do use this little bit of trickery, then stream function of lifting flow over a cylinder would be equal to V infinity R sine theta 1 minus R square by R square plus circulation divided by 2 pi ln R divided by R. Okay. This is something which I would get. Now, I can draw now the streamlines, and they would look something like this. I can draw my streamlines and they would look something like this. There are few points which I can see here from this lifting flow over a cylinder. The first point which I can see is that the streamlines are symmetrical about vertical axis. If you would look at the vertical axis, the right side and the left side, you would see that they are symmetrical, which means that there would be no drag. Okay, which means that there is no drag. Although that is paradoxical in nature, but we already talked about this thing before. But if you would look about the horizontal axis, which means if you would look at the streamlines which are at the top and in the bottom of the horizontal axis, you would see that they are unsymmetrical. And if they are unsymmetrical, streamlines are unsymmetrical, it shows that the velocity field is unsymmetrical about horizontal axis, and that means that the pressure field is unsymmetrical. So about the horizontal axis, the pressure on top and bottom are not the same, and if that's the case, then there is some kind of vertical force which would be acting, meaning by that lift would exist. Second point which I can see is, because a vortex of strength equal to the circulation has been added to the flow, so the circulation now of the entire flow is finite. Before that, when we had non-lifting flow, circulation was 0, doublet flow, circulation was 0, uniform flow, circulation was 0, flow over a semi-infinite body or oval shapes, circulation was 0. But since now we have added a vortex flow, and the purpose of adding vortex flow was to add circulation, so now we have some finite circulation. So now that we have our stream function, from the stream function I can find my velocities. Now we can find the velocities by adding the component flow velocities. So my VR would be equal to VR of non-lifting flow plus VR of vortex flow. VR of vortex flow is 0. So my overall radial velocity would be equal to the radial velocity of non-lifting flow. V theta, I just need to add both the cases, so that would be equal to 1 plus R square by R square V infinity sine theta with the minus sign and then minus circulation divided by 2 pi r. After finding my velocities, the next step is to find the stagnation points. And I know that for locating stagnation points, what I need to do is to put my Vr equal to 0, my V theta equal to 0, and then solve for r and theta. So for locating the stagnation points, we would put Vr equal to V theta equal to 0. Okay, if I would do that, then from equation 1 I would get r equals to r, and then substituting r equal to capital R in, just give me a second. Sorry for the noise. And then substituting small r equal to capital R in my equation 2, we would get theta equal to arc sine, and I hope you know what is arc sine. Argument would be minus circulation divided by 4 pi V infinity capital R. Now, look at this here. I know that since my circulation is positive, therefore theta must be in the third and fourth quadrant. My theta must be in the third and fourth quadrant. So what information have I got up till now? The information which I have received up till now for stagnation point is that my stagnation streamline, the circle, would have a radius of capital R. Second, my stagnation points would be located in the third and fourth quadrants, okay, which would be something like this here. Okay, now I can have three cases with me now. If I would look at my equation 3, based on equation 3 I can have three cases. First case is that my numerator of equation 3, the argument of equation 3, this is the numerator part, this is the denominator part. The numerator part, which is circulation, is smaller than this product of 4 pi V infinity R. If that's the case, then I would get my streamlines and stagnation streamline to be something like this. So it would be this one here, a circle, and then going out like this. So that would be the case when my circulation is less than 4 pi V infinity R. Second case could be that my numerator and denominator is equal to each other, meaning by my circulation is equal to 4 pi V infinity R. If that would be the case, then instead of two stagnation points, I would have a single stagnation point. And this is going to be my stagnation streamline. The third case could be that when my circulation is more than 4 pi V infinity R. If that is the case, then what would happen? My stagnation point would be one of them would be outside and one of them would be inside. Okay, now let's talk about them in a little bit of more detail. The two stagnation points 1 and 2, they are shown in figure A for r equals to r and theta as given by equation 3. This is something which you can see. This case which is shown in figure A is valid only when circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity r is less than 1. It is only valid when circulation is less than circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity r is less than 1. Now, if circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity r is greater than 1, then equation 3 has no meaning. Okay, and if circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity r is equal to 1, then there is only one stagnation point on the cylinder surface, and that would be at this location. Radial location would be capital R, and theta location would be minus pi by 2, which is shown in figure B. Now, let us look at this case where circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity r is greater than 1. If we go back to equation 1, and this equation 1 was actually my VR equation, okay, if I go back to this, then we would find that it is also satisfied, equation 1 of VR is satisfied for theta equals to pi by 2 or theta equals to minus pi by 2. Now, if I substitute theta equals to minus pi by 2 into equation 2, back into the equation 2, then I would get R equals to circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity plus minus circulation divided by 4 pi v infinity square minus r square. From this, I would get two values of r, one inside and the other outside the cylinder. Okay, and this is from where we got case C. Okay, case which is shown in figure A and B, this is something which you can get from equation 3, but case C which you are looking at here, this makes your equation 3 invalid, and that's why you need to go back to your equation 1, okay, here, and then from there you would get the value of theta as pi by 2 or minus pi by 2. Since I know that my stagnation points are going to be in third and fourth quadrant only, so I took the value of theta equals to minus pi by 2 and then substituted it back in the equation of v theta, which is my equation 2, and got the value of r. Now this r is giving me two stagnation points which are shown here, 0.4, 0.5. 0.4 is outside and 0.5 is inside the cylinder. So this is something about lifting flow over a circular cylinder. Now there is one part of unit 2 which I have left, and that part is actually calculation of Cp, where Cp is coefficient of pressure. This is something which I am not covering right now, and what we actually are going to do there is that we are going to use an equation known as Bernoulli's equation, and using that Bernoulli's equation, we would convert our kinematic parameters into dynamic parameters, meaning by using Bernoulli equation, from the velocity field I would get an idea about a pressure field, and that pressure field would give me an idea about forces which would be involved. But for that I need to use something known as Bernoulli equation, and Bernoulli equation is something which would come later in unit 3. So I'm leaving that part, and once I would cover that part in unit 3, then I would come back here again and finish these portions here. So one portion which is left for now, one idea which is left for now, let me put this here, it makes more sense here. Okay, so one portion which is left to be done after Bernoulli's equation is calculation of Cp, and the other thing and the other topic would be drag and lift forces, finding drag and lift forces. So these are the two topics, very short topic, which I would cover after unit 3. So overall this finishes our unit 2. If you have any queries or questions or confusions or suggestions, then it's time for that now.